Good afternoon, everyone. This is Justin Chen. I'm your host today. Welcome to our seminar this afternoon. And we actually put together a great program for you this afternoon so that we hope you can enjoy. And also you can take something home so that you could put into practice. First, we would like to thank the three organizations that helped put this together. First one is Financial GPS, followed by a cloud marketplace ministry, as well as Chinese Christian Mission. So thanks for all the help and all the work that were put into this particular planning this event so that we are able to bring to you this exciting information sharing that is just sorely needed at this moment in time. First off, I would like to bring out our guest speaker. So today we will separate into two different sections. Right? One is we would have two guest speakers, each presenting what they know best, share with you the nuggets and the tidbits. And the second half will be done by the panelists, and then my co-host, Miss Elaine, will come on board and take over that particular section. So first off, let me introduce the first speaker. The first speaker is Mason Chang. He's been doing this for some time, and his particular specialty is in networking with hiring managers, right? So pay attention, right? Networking with people, right? And then from that, then he would then dive deeper into working with those organizations that require staffing needs. So without further ado, let's welcome Mr. Mason Chang.
Okay, here we go. 1 second here. Share. Working. Okay. All right. So before I get started, well, as Justin just mentioned, I'm going to be talking about networking strategies and finding your next job opportunity and getting the attention of the hiring manager. But before I get started, I'd like to talk about a few things. Something is to think about. Have you ever wondered if anyone looks at your resume after you send it in? Studies show that 95% of Fortune 500 companies are using robots to screen hundreds of applications they receive on a daily to weekly basis. Most resumes are screened out during this process. And even technical recruiters use keywords to search for candidates. And how often do you get a response from an actual person after submitting a resume to a well-known company like Google, like Oracle, Microsoft, etc.? Many of these positions have over 200 applicants. So what I'm going to talk about is a method I've been using to get the attention of hiring managers. This method has worked both for myself and some of my friends who I helped connect with C-level executives at Waymo, VP-level executives at Texas Instruments, director-level executives at both Facebook and Apple, along with many other hiring managers at various companies. So I know this method definitely works. So what I'm going to be talking about, as mentioned, is expanding your network. You can imagine there's many different ways. These are just a few ways that some of you guys are already familiar with. You probably know of other ways as well, but like LinkedIn, Facebook, these are common methods that people use online. Then of course, school, you have church, your friends, and even clubs. Okay, so why would people want to do this? If you think about it, it makes sense. Referrals are the #1 way, resumes get a better chance of getting viewed by our hiring manager. So if your friend personally knows the hiring manager, that's your best bet. However, if you can't get a referral, I'm going to show you the next best way. So I like to use LinkedIn. I personally use LinkedIn Navigator, which costs around $80 a month. However, you can get a free 30-day trial period. And that will get you more than enough information in terms of target companies, finding hiring managers, and then you can continue to connect on LinkedIn, send emails, make cold calls, and leave voice messages. The last three are actually have nothing to do with LinkedIn, but after you connect on LinkedIn, the rest becomes easier. So targeting companies, I thought this is also something that people might find useful. Believe it or not, LinkedIn Navigator makes it really easy to find companies based on geography. You can look at, these are the few ways that I really like. Geography, looking at company size and growth rate. You obviously want a company that's growing, not shrinking. You can look at the annual revenue. And then, of course, job openings. You want a company that has job openings that are relevant to you. And okay, next. Next is finding the hiring manager, which I think that this is the key part of my presentation that I really want to bring home. So finding hiring managers, once you know the company, then you look at the location, geography, function. Are they in engineering, finance, sales, operations, etc.? There's many different functions. Seniority, do you need to report to, does this role report to a CEO, C-level executive, VP level, director, manager, etc.? And keywords, when you look for the hiring manager, look at the department they're in, look at job titles, but you want to break it up into multiple words when you do your search. Connecting on LinkedIn. So when you connect with someone on LinkedIn, you got to think of, why do you want to connect to them? You got to give a reason that sounds good, right? Something that will also show the person that you did a little bit of homework and you're not just clicking connect to random people. So you look at what they've done, maybe like their achievements. You look at their background, interests, hobbies, something you share in common with them. And then that way, when you look at why should they connect with you, you have something similar, like their background or your interests, hobbies, maybe a school. You look for alumni, that really helps a lot, I noticed. Education, say you have a similar degree. And then, of course, what about your own achievements? Also, when you do a LinkedIn request to connect, believe it or not, you have a really, really short number of words you can put in there. So you have to make it really brief, only about a few sentences. Why do you want to connect, and why should they connect with you? Emails. Oh, I forgot. Okay, I should take one step back. Sorry about that. So an example of why people should connect with you, I'll use my own personal example just for reference. I'll say like, hi, John, I find your profile and company very interesting and would love to connect with you. For myself, I've been in technical sales. So I've been in technical sales for over 10 years and enjoy connecting with leaders who are the top amongst their peers. Let's connect. That's it. It's a very simple, short message. Short and to the point, but not really saying because I want to find a job, because that may or may not turn people off. But then you just say, let's connect. The reason I say top amongst their peers, because that particular person, for example, put like a lot of his achievements and being the top, always showing that he's on the top of the list. And then that you would mention that in your request to connect. Sending emails. The main reason why I send emails, believe it or not, is to, okay, if I send out a LinkedIn request to connect and nothing happens, then the next thing I would do is send an email. Now, how do you find people's emails? This is another trick. So there's various software programs out there that you can use to find emails, phone numbers, and let's see, emails, phone numbers, and also titles, and it connects very well with LinkedIn. There's many different programs out there. I personally use Lucia and Hierarchal. I'll go over those a little later. But I send out emails first because then I have an excuse. I use a LinkedIn request to connect, send out an email, then I start following up with cold calls. Emails, though, can also work if you have a nice subject line that can attract people's attention. Because most emails are deleted and never read if the subject line doesn't generate interest. So you want to make it somewhat personal and a little bit interesting. You could talk about the title you want, the main reason you are a match. For example, say for myself, I'm in sales, I would probably say something like in the subject line, looking for top sales reps. I've got over 10 years experience, something like that. For yourself, whatever is the number one thing you think will attract their attention, you would want to put it up there. And then in the body, talk about why you want to join and why they should consider you. The why you want to join part should be very short, maybe 1 or 2 sentences max. And then why they should consider you, a few bullet points. When you talk about your achievements, when you give you the few bullet points, make sure you talk about your achievements. Quantify anything you can, how much time you saved others, how quickly you finished a project. If you were the first place in a competition, make sure you mention it. Were you the first to learn something new in a team? Do you tend to be a leader or a follower? Make sure you highlight anything that you feel would show abilities that are related to the job description. So just a few bullet points, and then you close with something simple, waiting for their feedback. Okay, the next one, making cold calls. Okay, here I have the finding phone numbers, and that also gets you emails too. These are the first two are the easy ways to get phone numbers. LinkedIn can also get you phone numbers if the person has their phone number or contact information in their LinkedIn profile. Most people will not give that out unless you're connected to them. And that's why my first step is always to connect. Sometimes a person's email will show up at that point or their phone number as well. So then you have to make sure you have an elevator pitch, right? So remember, when you call a hiring manager, they're always very, very busy. They don't have a whole lot of time. So I keep it really short and to the point. For example, something to this effect: I'm very interested in joining your engineering team, sales team, operations team at whatever company name, Google, Facebook, whichever company, then in whatever city. I've always wanted to be, and then you fill it in because, and then you fill it in again. Again, that pitch has to be very short. Ideally, under 30 seconds would be perfect. Then would you mind, this is another key sentence, would you mind if I took 1 minute of your time to explain why I feel I would be a good match for the position? Why you ask for 1 minute? Because most people don't have a whole lot more than that. And if you ask for more, they probably say no. And also, if you ask for 1 minute, not only do they usually say yes, after they say yes, it's easier to get another yes. It's a psychological game, but it seems to work. And then talk about why you're a match. Top 3 to 5 reasons. I would keep it down to 3, ideally. 3 quick bullet points, and then you go on to the next step. If they give you more time, you can continue. All right, so leaving voice messages. Now this is a little trickier. I give an example here on the bottom. You have to create interest without lying. You only have usually less than 15 seconds. Because I don't know about you, but if I hear a voice message and it sounds like a sales call or it sounds like someone needs help and I don't know who this person is, I generally tend to just delete. And I don't know about you, if you hear a message from someone you don't know about and it sounds like it could be a spam or you have no idea what it is, you probably delete it too. But this one is a little bit of a twist. So something like this, hi, and their name, John, for example. My name is Mason, so I say, this is Mason. I've been exploring various options with a couple other people or a couple other sales teams and was also curious about your opinion as well. Please call me back. My phone number is, I give my phone number, and thank you. Believe it or not, 10% of the people will call back. Why? Because they don't know why you're calling. And I didn't lie to anyone. I said, I've been exploring various options. What options am I exploring? I'm exploring options to get a new job, right? I'm exploring a way to get into that company. And I am calling multiple people or multiple sales teams to get an opportunity. And I want this person's opinion as well. So, but at the same time, you think about when they get the message, they could also be looking at another way, exploring various options. They don't know what options you're exploring. You could be exploring business options, right? You could be exploring engineering options, how to solve something. So this is a little vague. I know maybe sounds a little tricky, but you're not lying, but you're also creating interest and people will call you back later on. There's a much higher chance. If I don't do it this way, if I do a pure sales call, believe it or not, my return rate is very low, but this one's actually okay. Summary. Okay, so what have I covered? Targeting companies, using LinkedIn to target companies, finding hiring managers based on geography and multiple other things that you want to look for, connecting on LinkedIn. After you connect on LinkedIn, sending emails, making cold calls, and leaving voice messages. I believe we'll have time for questions later. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mason. There are actually quite a few nuggets. I don't know whether some of you have already gotten it. If so, congratulations, and you should put them to practice. Let me share back my screen. So this was Mason's profile, as I forgot to do that, so I apologize. And now I will switch to our next speaker. Our next speaker is Miss Yang Yan.
Hi.
Hi, Yan. She has been a professional recruiting for more than 10 years, anywhere from new college grad to startups to global high-tech companies. Pretty much end-to-end kind of a process owner thing. So she will today bring with her expertise to all of you and let her share with you what she knows. So pay attention as I'm also taking notes for myself. All right. Yan, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Justin. So thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I know that job searching could be intimidating, time-consuming, sometimes discouraging and frustrating. But trust me, at the end of the journey, is going to be rewarding. So this afternoon, I'm going to focus on how to write a good resume and how to prepare for your interviews. So yes, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So how to write a good resume. So what is a good resume? So actually, there's no yes or no, there's no standardized answer of what is a good resume. As long as your hard skill and your soft skill match with that particular company's requirement, then that is a good resume. So before you even start your resume, you need to sit down. You need to clear your thoughts, setting goals. So number one, you need to find the target industries. Number two, you need to find the target companies. Number three, you need to consider, take all the factors regarding yourself, all the factors into consideration. So finding the target industries is easy to understand. For example, if you're a software engineer, you probably need to focus most of your energy into the high-tech industry. And then for the finding the targeted companies, so I would suggest it's similar to you apply for universities. You spend 80% of, you need to set 10% of the companies or as your dream companies, the dream companies that you want to work for. And then 80% of the companies in the industry that you can see clearly your career trajectory there. You know, you could advance there, the industry or the company has a bright future and then high growth rate, and then you see yourself there. So 80% of the company like that. And then 10% of the companies that you may overlooked. So they may not be the perfect companies that you want to work for, but they will prepare you to get more experience, to get the next ideal, better job. So these jobs include part-time jobs, volunteer jobs, you know, in the non-for-profit organizations. Those are the areas that you may overlook. And then once you find the target industries and the companies, and then think about locations. So are you willing to relocate? Are you able to relocate to wherever it is? And then do you need a visa sponsorship? What about the benefits? Are you looking for, this is a big pay, or you have to pay your current you know, bills right away, or you want a balance? And then do you consider contractor roles, independent contractors versus a full-time role? So once you have these goals set, I trust me, it's gonna save you 50% of the searching time. And then after that, making your strategies. Your number one, be focused. So I use 80-20 rule. So I spend 80% of my time, my energy on 80% of the companies and the industries, and then I want to get a job. Then 20% of my energy and the time on the companies, or you know, my dream companies, and also the companies that help me to prepare for my next job. Then the second one, be customized. You cannot use one resume to apply for 20 companies. So you have to be very individualized. So Mason just said only 5% of the resume got being reviewed by human beings. So I'm reviewing resume on a daily basis. I'm going to tell you how do I read resumes. So you have to be customized. So for me, I spend the first few seconds to check the keywords on your resume to match with what we are looking for exactly. For example, as a software engineer, so I'm looking for backend engineers. So I look for people who who are familiar, you know, who have exposure, who has done project on the backend development when you are at school. So and then I see the specific programming language as Java, C, C++. If you, as a new grad or a college student, you have done interns on both the backend and front end, what you should do for this particular company, you should you know, stress more, write more of your experience of your backend in term versus your front end experience to get more chances to be reviewed by recruiters. So then next one, be organized. This is not, once the interview starts, once the process starts, it's more complicated and time consuming than you think. So I want to show you one example that I helped with one of my friend's daughter when she looking for an internship. So we started by creating this spreadsheet. So she put all these roles of these companies into a spreadsheet and then put as many notes as possible. So when did she apply it? and whether she could find somebody to refer her to that company. If I could find, I could put the referrals information here, and then some notes. What this role specifically asks you to have as a, regarding hard skills versus soft skills. So we started by, I think, 50 companies. So don't be surprised. This is only for an internship. So for full-time role, if you interview for 10 to 20, then before you get a job. So don't expect you apply for one job and then expect you land the one job immediately after one interview. That's not possible. So be organized and then spend your time wisely. Last one will be do research. So you need to know what this company do, but you don't have to do the research when you write the resume, but during the later stage, but this is something you need to think about it. So now when you have the goals set up, you have the strategy set up, you can think about the writing a resume. Trust me, I spend the first 5 seconds to check your experience, to check your hard skill. I spend 80% of my time check your hard skill. If your hard skill, if you have a Java, you have C++, you have a backend development experience, then I will take another 30 seconds to see, hey, if I can find some other softer skills. If I can find what types of person, I could check from resume. So for the softer skills, something like, have you done any volunteer jobs? Have you been on a mission trip? Have you been, tutor for free, in the non-for-profit organizations? Those are all the good indicators to show me that you are a great team player, and also you are a good communicator. Okay, so but the foundation is your hard skill. So 80%, if your hard skill is 80% or 90% match with what we are looking for, then I will spend another few seconds to check your soft skills. And then don't put too much of your soft skills there to distract people. It doesn't work that well. So I choose some random format of the resume on website. So I want to show you. As I said, I spend the first 5 seconds to check your hard skill. So your hard skill, I can see from here. Those are the different format of the resumes. But every recruiter has their own preference. For me, I don't care about the format. I don't care about the pictures. I don't care about the font. So actually, for especially the technical field, I suggest you not to put your pictures there. So I can, if I want to see who you are, how you look, I could check your LinkedIn. So for these resumes, why I think they are good resumes is because they put their hard skills in a separate section. So that will help me spend even less time finding your hard skills. So if I see, hey, I can see Java, C++, backend experience, you have, went to, hackathons. So it put them into a separate section that will help me to even save me time, more recruiter friendly. So this is for this one, this kind of resume is kind of one of my favorite. I see your hard skill, I see your soft skill, your education right away. So I know who you are from now. Okay, so this is the resume. So in summary, there's no good or bad resume. So the good resume is the resume that both of your hard skill and the soft skill fit that particular company's particular requirement. That is the best resume. You have to do the research. You have to make your hard skill, especially your hard skill, match with the company's requirement. So the next step, interview. So do you know how many So now you're excited. You finally get a recruiter to email you back to say, hey, Max, nice to see your application. We'd like to have a quick chat with you. So do you know that how many interviews you're going to go through and what is the timeline? So number one, the interview or the recruiter is going to call you. So normally this interview is about 30 minutes. So this recruiter is going to do a high level match to check your hard skill and your soft skill. So the hard skill, again, have you done this? Have you done that? What is your experience? How do you, those types of, is basically yes or no answers. So you cannot say, oh, I haven't done, Java, but I may mainly focus on the front end, but I want to apply for that one. So then hard skill, then that's no. But I think one area that we all need to make improvement is the area that where is your soft skill. So I normally want to ask everybody the same question again and again. And I use this question to screen out a lot of candidates. So my question is, different recruiters ask in different ways. But I normally ask is, why did you apply for this role? Why did you apply for my company, this company? What interests you the most? I understand the new grads send out 200 resumes to 200 companies, but I still want to see, have you done your homework? Do you really know what does this role require you to do? If you don't, then there's no passion. The competition is fierce. For one role, we could easily get several hundreds of resumes of applications. Why should I pick you? So you needed to do your homework. So the answer that I expect is that, okay, your company is working on such a project. This is really something that I think could save the real world problem. And I have attended such a conference that your co-founders has been a speaker, and I feel very interested. My background, all my experience, the project that I've been doing at a school, I think I feel that I really have passion of doing so. I think I could bring the value to the team. So this is the answer. This is the energy I want to see. Of course, I don't want to hear something like, oh yeah, I'm graduating in May, and then now it's the deadline, I have to find a job. So this is maybe the worst answer I have, and then some people even don't know how to answer this question. These different recruiters ask different ways, but eventually you need to show, I have done homework, I've done research. This is something that I really want to work on. This is a role I really want to get. So this is the recruiter's phone call. So after this phone call, you will go through 2 or 3 rounds of technical interviews. So for the two to three technical interviews, normally the interviewers will focus on 80% of your hard skills. So for example, the software engineer. So you need to code. So you need to take time to prepare. Different kind of data structure, algorithm. You need to get refreshed. You need to practice. And this is a hard skill. So after the 2 to 3 rounds of the technical interviews, normally there's one interview, either talking with the hiring manager or another interview, but the focus will be on your softer skills. So this interview is tricky. So the interviewer is going to test you, for example, still the software engineer do some questions, but his focus is really not that how well you code, is that your process of thinking. Have you just, heads down started doing the coding without communication, or you make sure his or her expectation before you start coding, and then you talk out, you think out loud, you communicate how well you accept his hints. Those are all the factors, to show if you're a good team player, if you're a good communicator. So treat all these interviews, don't treat interviewers as your team player. So they want to see, besides well your coding skills, they want to see work with this person. So this is a softer skill. So after all these rounds, this is 3 to 4 rounds of the interviews. Then at last, it's the offer stage. So I know that everybody is looking forward to this end. It's super rewarding, super exciting. And then at that time, you still need to do the research, these companies' compensation structure, what types of benefits you're going to get. Are you going to get options or RSU? Do some research, but that time is a happy research. You did most of the heavy lifting before then. And then last, congratulations, you get hired. Again, job searching is time consuming, is intimidating, but at the end it's rewarding. Okay, so thank you. And then if you have any questions, I will be answering the questions at the end of the talk.
Thank you again. This is Justin Chen again, your host. That concludes our first half. Second half, we will begin shortly. And with that, I would like to bring on my co-host, Miss Elaine. Miss Elaine. Elaine? Elaine will be moderating for our panel. So, Elaine, are you there?
Sorry, I unmute. Thank you, Justin. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm Elaine Gu. I'm from Financial GPS, a nonprofit organization. I'm a coordinator in FSGG as a volunteer. And today, I'm so glad to be here as a co-host in the following panel discussion. And now, before starting the discussion, besides Mason and Yan, we have another panelist, Ms. Jane Liang, will join the QA session. Let me introduce Jane first. Jane is a certified HR professional with 15 years especially in HR strategy, processes and politics, and recruiting, performance evaluation. And she is also good at talent management, HR, project management.
Can you share?
Hello?
Share the screen.
Yeah.
Maybe Guowei, can you show Jane's page?
So anyone
Yan
can
needs
share?
to unshare first. She needs to stop sharing. Yan.
It's okay. I think the page is in the flyer. So if people have a flyer, they can see. But I think Elaine going to actually verbally introduce.
Can you show the flyer in that case? Can
Yes.
you? Yeah, can you show the flyer?
Justin can show the flyer. Yeah, please. First page.
So you mean I share?
No,
I think we need.
Justin has the first
Justin.
page. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Justin has the flyer.
I think Yan
Anyway.
need to unshare this page now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While Justin is actually trying to share, Elaine, please go ahead. Do your
Yeah.
continue the introduction.
Okay. Jane now is currently taking the position of global HR director at Goldman. This is one of the top 5 battery technology companies in the world, providing batteries to electrical vehicles and energy storage. Germany automaker Volkswagen Group is the company's largest shareholders. So I think this it's a good chance for you, for the audience, to get the direct answer from our 3 senior HR professionals. If you have any question, please feel free to ask. English is a preference, but if you feel more comfortable to speak in Mandarin, that would be fine too. Our panelists will answer in either Mandarin or English. So when you want to ask a question, you just unmute yourself and speak directly, or you can leave your question into the chat room. So now, okay, let's start our session. Actually here, I have already got one question from our audience. And he asked, I'm tutoring SAT for high school students in my spare time. Is it necessary for me to present this information in my resume? I think Yan, this question,
Sure.
yeah, you can give comments.
Well, I think this is good to put on your resume because, as I said, this is a good indicator of your soft skill. So what kind of person you are. So while you are a college student, you still want to hire, or you still want to help the younger kids, middle schooler and high schoolers. This is a good indicator that you are going to be a good team player. Number one. Number two, let's see, I don't know what is your major. Let's see, again, you're a software engineer. Then if you tutor, so the company or the hiring manager will send you, if he's choosing someone to attend some types of conferences. So he may send you instead of other people on the team to represent the company, to explain, to tell the, to do a seminar, to do a workshop. So I think put it there.
Okay, good comments. And do you have?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
To Jane. I think Jane has experience work for both bigger company and a small company. Can you share with us from your recording experience what the major difference between the bigger company and the small company?
Hi everybody. So I'm Jane. So to answer questions, yeah, that's right. I have both, experience in big corporations and small companies. Small is relatively small. I think one of the reasons why I joined my current company is because I like to be in a more challenging and fast-paced, kind of startups. I call it startup because it's not actually a startup, but because this is actually a fully whole company by one of the the top 5 companies in the world. But I joined it because in my former companies, in all the HR roles, I've been doing one specific role, like say as a learning development manager or like say a recruiter or HR BP. But in this current role, I'm acting like a HR director, leading an HR team around the globe. So the difference is that in the big companies you actually playing a specific role and you learn a specific skill set and to benefit the company. But the smaller companies, you get to kind of like use our your HR my HR experience in in all the functions. So it's more challenging and also a little bit more difficult, and also ask you for more skill set. But depends on your stage of development. Some people tend to join big companies at the beginning and to start their career. Some people like to just start a challenge when they start their career. So it really depends on your preference. I think both of them, either of them, they all have like different, say advantage, depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for a very well established and like say they have a lot of like established systems and process, and also maybe a big corporation, you have a lot of colleagues, a big campus, something like that. But if you want to join like an organization that has very close connection with each other, and you can actually contribute your personal input to the organization's development, and also that you probably get more chances to get like promoted, something like that. So you should join like startup. Depends on your preference, but both of them, are two typical career development paths that you can actually fulfill. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Uh,
Thank you, Jane.
Can I ask a question here?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Is
Yeah.
it Yen or Jane? Sorry.
What? I want to ask one question on the I don't know, probably it's an HR person. So I have more than 20-year experience. Then I always have a problem when writing the resume. I need to list out all my working experience, or I need to like just keep latest 10 year or latest 15 year. How do I do that? So I always got a different advice. Some people say you need to put you need to list out. Some people say you just need leave latest 10 years. But sometimes you listed, if I listed latest 10 year, probably some important technical skill I have done 10 years ago is missing. So that's why I got a question here.
So Yen, do you want to answer this question? And I can add more if I.
What I normally do, I still want to customize my hard skill, soft skill with the particular company I'm applying for. Let's see, if this company require you to have HRBP, performance review, use the HR, different platforms, softwares, and then I would write more in details in those areas for the companies that I acquired those skills, that I practiced these skills. For the it doesn't matter which year, the most recent or longer than 10 years. But for the companies that I may not work on HRBP, I worked more on the recruiting. I probably just use one line or two lines to for that company. So I would specialize more on the experience background that match with the company that I'm applying for.
Thank you, Yen. So I would like to add a couple more sentences here. So just my personal experience, my personal preference. I think when I get to, like, say when I go to LinkedIn, to reach out to people, when I look at their resumes, if I'm really interested in that person, of course, what that person in recent years have been doing, right? And then after that, I will go into, hey, there's any gap, between all these years, among all these years, and also, in the gap, what that person is doing. And also, I think, based on my experience, when I especially reach out to the most senior people, and when I find there's some like time between graduation and their first job, I was saying, hey, what's this doing? I still ask that question if I get a chance to interview that person. So I would prefer that candidate to put all their years in the resume, but you don't have to emphasize it. Of course, like say you tailor a resume according to what kind of position you are looking for, really specify. But like say you're doing something that has nothing to do with the job you are looking for, you can still put it there, but don't put too much details. Like if that, a recruiter, they're interested in learning more during the interview, they'll ask you. Yeah, but I prefer that you put it there so that I know that what you're doing among those years. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my preference. Thank you.
May I ask a question?
Yes, please.
I'm Winnie. I actually had a coworker who got laid off recently, and he's putting up his resume, and he mentioned that I'm just actually the question is related to whatever you just mentioned. He said if he put all the years of experiences, that reveals his age. And when it shows a certain age, some company actually do not like to hire people with certain age. Is that true? Well, we can say age discrimination. So that's why he doesn't want to put all the years of his experiences. But he afraid that if he doesn't put it down, then it shows that he's not being honest. So it's a little contradictory with the thoughts here. So what would be the suggestions here? And second question is, since Jane, is it Jane?
Yes.
Said that she usually spent the first 5 seconds to catch the resume and find the keywords. I wonder if she or anyone do the critique for someone's resume here, and how much do you charge? That's my 2 questions.
Sure.
So the first question, I think, Jen, it is more for you, for HR side. So
Okay.
you wanna, yeah.
So, well, every company, like saying, depends on their team's need, especially hiring team's need. They probably have some, like, honestly, they probably have some preference, on age, diversity, things like that. Not necessarily about discrimination, really depends on the hiring need, because you don't know what their hiring team looks like. They probably have a lot of young people, or they're looking for some senior leader. They probably have like a lot of senior people. They want to find somebody like maybe middle age or young people. It really depends. So really it doesn't have like, probably it's not age discrimination. So I still think that if I want to find out as a recruiter, if I want to find out, the age of that person, it's still very, easy, So if you want to, you don't want to put it there, it's fine. It's not considered that you're not honest. But the thing is that if they feel like, you are hiding something, they still will ask you. The key thing is that still do you have the the hard skills they are looking for or not? Sometimes they're looking for some younger people, but if you have like, sometimes they can find such candidate with everything they want, so they probably will make some compromise there. Age is okay, we're not looking for, we are okay, we can make some compromise, if we cannot find somebody who can meet all the requirements we are looking for. So I would still put it there, but if because eventually when you get to the interview process, it's going to be on-person interview, or when you talk to them, it's very easy to find out your age. So you don't want to get in the organization that like, that through like some message that you want to hide, and then later on they find out you're such. They still have other excuses not to hire you if they do have their age, discrimination, or they do prefer somebody who's younger or something like that. So I think it's okay to just kind of like disclose, that that kind of information. Yan, I don't know what about your, what's your opinion on that?
So when I say I use 5 seconds, again, my answer to what is if this is a good resume or not, is not because your style or anything, is whether this is a good fit. The reason I only took about 5 seconds to check the keywords because I'm very familiar with my hiring manager's needs. So I know what he's looking for, the skill sets. So that way I can take only 5 seconds to just check those keywords. There are lots of resources online helping you to write resumes. So I could search some of I could leave some of the resources which website that you can find to help you to write a resume. But my point is, the best resume to me is always your hard skill and your soft skill match exactly with that company's, that role's particular need. It doesn't matter how many years of experience do you have. It depends on how match they are. So I'm not charging for, the resume review, but I can give you some, website for you to start searching if they can help you to do the resume review. So normally use one template as the foundation. And then once you find each company, okay, if they require you more of this experience, basically you have both, then you could, tailor it a little bit toward to that company's needs. So I'm not charging, but I can send the links to you after this workshop.
Thank you.
Actually, if you don't mind, I have a few other comments I'd like to add real quick here. So we also have to look at why people would discriminate based on age. In fact, I've actually talked to an HR manager who specifically asked me to pick candidates with less years of experience. And these were the reasons that I was given. One was they find that people who have more than enough years experience tend to be set in their ways or are harder to teach. So I would try to adjust, I would probably look at like how many years experience is required for that job. And if you are way over the requirements, you got to think of what they're looking at. Overqualified, they're concerned you might be a little more, maybe too expensive. Like I said, if they're concerned that you'd be set in their ways. So what you could do is look at the requirements and try to match, like everyone was saying earlier, just try to match the requirements. I wouldn't go too far over, but at the same time, if you go a little bit over, it's probably okay. And then during the interview, make sure you address the concerns that you think may be related to age discrimination, because eventually what you're going to do face-to-face, if you get that far, and then they will see it anyways. But that's where you have to be prepared to answer all their questions and address all their concerns with relation to that type of discrimination. So basically, maybe if they're concerned that you're set in your ways, you got to think about how you're flexible in your learning. You can quickly adjust or adapt. Make sure you talk a little bit about that. If their concern is overqualified and then maybe too expensive, at the same time, you have to look at yourself. What kind of salary do you want to be making? Is this position really what you want to do? Is it, if it's a more junior role because you're transferring over, trying to do something different, people can understand that. But there's a lot of questions you have to think of that the hiring manager may have, the concerns that they have, and maybe you can even Google search what's the different reasons for types of age discrimination, and then you try to get ready with your answers to those type of questions. I don't know all the different types of questions, but I've seen these are the key things I've seen in the past with HR managers.
Thank you. And actually now is time went fast. It's 4 o'clock, and yeah, we schedule to be ended at 4. But I still I got more questions on hand. So I suggest to extend our discussion in another 15 minutes. Is that okay for you? For you?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, your time. Anyone has a more question? Yeah.
Hi, can I have a question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm a new graduate, and I will graduate by December. My degree is a master in computer engineering at Arizona State University. And these days, actually, I started preparing for the interview for 2 months, and I practice on lead code. I'm not that good at coding, so this part I proceed pretty slow, and it's a headache to me. It's very hard for me to think of the solutions. So I'm in the process of learning. And now I also applied for 30 or 40 positions, but I only have one 15 minutes interview for technical support. But they think maybe I'm overqualified for that position. I have experience in front-end, front-end development with JavaScript and back-end data process with Python. But it's just some school project, and I worked as a TA and RA. But I'm not have hands-on experience in coding a lot. I did several years of algorithm design.
Mhm.
Now I'm looking for like a software engineer job, but I found out it seems the opportunity is very rare for me. I got a lot of rejections. I don't know. Maybe some reason is one of this is one reason is this my first job. So without experience, this can be the first difficulty for new graduate. But they reject me without any reasons that can help me. So my question can be, the first one is the timeline. If I graduate on December, what do you suggest me to prepare for it regarding the timeline? And then can you give me some tip to gain more possibility to get an interview or even to have a job?
So number one, this is the time. I've been there. I totally get what you experience right now. It's not your fault. The whole industry. So you got lots of rejection emails, which you should be happy, because at least they know you applied. They give you a reply. So most likely they have nothing. They know you don't hear from them forever. So at least you know, okay, they are not looking for you. You can move on to other companies. So this is why I want you to start a spreadsheet to be organized. So if you haven't got a rejection for more than 30 or 40, so wait for that. So you should, this is a good opportunity. As I said, especially this year, the market, everybody knows, is a bad time for new grads. Many of the companies, they change the policy at last minute. They don't need new grads at all. So this is not your fault, number one. So don't think bad about yourself. It's nothing about you. So think it positively. Maybe this is a lesson you need to learn, how to get more confidence, resilience, how to be more powerful, how to get more experience during this time. This is number one. Don't think bad about yourself. It's the market, is nothing. Number two, prepare. So if you graduate in December, do you need any types of visa sponsorship?
Yeah, I need.
So you will need a CP,
H1B.
OPT,
Yeah, I have that.
You need to start now. It's not too early for you to start now. So number one, use your, the spreadsheet I help with my friend's daughter, right? Put all these companies there. And then to ask around. Mason has already told us, how to utilize the network. Don't come out of your comfortable zone. Ask around, hey, from your church. So for me, I want to give you my example. When 75% of my jobs is because of referral. So when I just came from Silicon Valley from Chicago area. I couldn't find a job. I was so depressed. I thought, oh, I'm so useless and valueless, right? So my church friends referred me to a job that I thought, you must be kidding. That's not for me. But I prepared for that. So I got the chance. So ask around, go social. I'm not saying that, if I'm within your network, I'm more than happy to send your resume to my recruiter friends, to my engineer friends, to ask around, hey, is Apple still hiring for new grads? Is Amazon, what does Amazon do? Never hurt to ask. Never hurt to ask for help. Your church friends, your school friends, ask around, hey, if there's openings, so could you send my resume to the, this is the role I want to apply for. Can you apply? Can you help me to refer?
Okay.
Ask around. Number 3, prepare how to prepare for the interview. This is your first full-time job is to look for a full-time job.
Okay.
It's a full-time job.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you will get lots of rejections. You will, but you will get, experience from each rejection. Okay, this time I didn't answer this question very well. When recruiter asked me, why did I apply? Why the company should hire me? I didn't even know. I just, right? So next time, oh, okay, I should do that. For lead code, keep on practicing. This is your hard skill. 80% of your skill will rely on your hard skill. So the other 20%, networking, those are all supportive tools for you to get a job.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't only stay at home doing the lead code. You will be more and more depressed.
Correct. Yeah, that's what I'm suffering now.
Okay. Yeah. Go and ask, to share, to talk to your church friends. Yeah, I'm so depressed. I feel so helpless. And then some of them will be able to help you. And then it's just, I don't think anybody will mind. Okay, yeah, my company is looking for this role, but it's pretty junior. It's a part-time role. Do you care? But, right? So start from there. Come out of your comfortable zone. Ask for help, and then do the preparation.
Okay.
So I have a couple of things to add here, for a new graduate. So as for my current company, we are looking for more senior people, but we are at the same time, we're looking for interns. I know that for graduates, and sometimes it's really hard to get a full-time job, especially under right now, the very challenging COVID-19 situation. A lot of companies have hiring freeze. But if you're willing to take up the options like internship, you can and you can start with that opportunity as well. You can go to Handshake, to see if there's other some internship actually opportunities there. But of course, full time is always the best. But you can start with like 3 months or 6 months interns. It happened to my companies. We have interns like. We are not hiring for full-time entry-level engineers, but we do consider interns. Like if they start with they help us like for maybe 6 months. Of course, help each other 6 months, and been a lot of companies. If you build up good relationship with them, they probably will consider you for full-time after your internship. Period. Second, you keep saying that you think that you're not good at coding or you're not confident in that. So I would, spend some time asking myself, like, should I apply some jobs like really, demands or require a lot of hands-on coding experience? If they are, I suggest not to apply too much, unless you can get to know some people doing networking that can really help you. Of course, like I say, confirm your own, what you're good at and what you're really interested in will be doing in the future, and at least in the first 3 years of your career development. Secondly, really expand your network from now on, I guess. I personally, my job, like I have been in HR in China for more than 10 years before I came to the US. So how I landed on my first job is also through network. So my second job is also through somebody who referred me to the company. Only my third job right now is actually through some agencies reach out to me and kind of presented opportunity for me. So none of the jobs I've been working in the US, it's through applying or through network or some reference, things like that. So you can, emphasize too much on networking, the importance of networking, as everybody like Jason and, Yan also mentioned that. So don't be shy to reach out to people around you. You can also go to LinkedIn, to expand your network if you don't have anybody around you that that's in the industry or the companies that you're looking for. They're working there. So
do you consider an intern with a with OPT after graduation?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Usually it's 1 year, 2 years, but of course, some depends on the company's, reality. Some company, they probably have a lot of, say H-1B holders. A lot of people need work sponsorship. Like if they know that they're knowing that you some at some point in the future you need sponsorship, they probably don't want to hire you, but it could change, after maybe a couple of years or after your internship. Really, if you can stand out during your internship, it still has quite big opportunities there. Better than nothing. At least you get some, even like employment as an internship, it's still considered employment, right? So you can at least still, get opportunity at their first step if you cannot land on a full-time job.
Yeah.
That's something I would recommend.
Internship pay good money too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a real tough year for the new graduate this year. So yeah, about the networking, I think so many, especially the young, the new graduate students, they don't know how to build up the networking. What's a tool, especially during the COVID-19 period. So Mason, do you have some more suggestions or comments on this?
Well, I have a couple comments. First of all, as other people have already mentioned, this is a COVID crisis right now, so it's especially hard for new grads. And I would definitely not be disappointed if I couldn't get a job right now. In fact, even you apply for jobs online, I don't even know how many of them are for real and how many of them are fake, because I work with some companies that when I talk to them, I find out that actually that job doesn't even exist and they didn't have a chance to update on LinkedIn or update on their company website. So there are actually quite a few, well, you could call like fake jobs, right? But it's not fake, it's just that they didn't update the information online. So I would definitely not be disappointed about not getting a job. And the other thing is, again, networking is definitely the way to go. In fact, I was in a very similar situation. I remember when I went to work overseas for 12 years in China, came back to the US, and I had to start back from ground zero. It's almost like my experience disappeared because it's hard for companies to check on your experience when you work overseas, especially if it's not with a large company that people know about. And actually, I had to network myself into my first job coming back to the US. And after that, then I could start having a normal career again. But networking is definitely the best way. If you have to, like everyone else has mentioned, get out of your comfort zone, talk to people. Believe it or not, there's a lot of friendly people out there who are willing to help you, especially in church. Not just church though, believe it or not, when I network with people, hiring managers, they're actually pretty impressed that I would actually go out of my way to call them. The cold calls. I do a lot of cold calling. And the managers are actually impressed, and they'll say, sorry, I don't have anything for you, but at least they'll talk to you, or they may say, hey, I know another position, why don't you try this? I'd say 90, well, not 90%, maybe at least 70, 80% of the people out there, you reach out to them, if they can help you, they will probably help you. They'll do something. Even strangers have helped me. So I'd say, again, get out of your comfort zone, talk to people, network, and that's probably the best way to get your foot in the door for at least your first job opportunity. And then back to, as people mentioned, even an internship. Don't think of it as just an internship. It's a job, and you can network through that internship. You can get people to. Also, I would even boost up my LinkedIn profile. Get people to recommend you. Connect with your friends. If anyone knows you're good at something, get a recommendation. Recommend other people as well, and then ask for a recommendation in return. And then basically get yourself known out there. There you go. That's pretty much it.
I have a question. I ask another question. Do we have time?
Yes, please. Maybe this is
I'll do it real quick.
It could be the last question.
Yeah, I'm not a new graduate, but I'm transitioning from academia to industry. So I want to ask, what is the situation of such group of people? I guess there might be a lot of us like that. So so I want to ask, how do the hiring manager or team leads view differently from new graduate to us, like transitioning from academia to industry? So what's the advantage, and especially during the COVID-19, what should we do to better get the foot in the door?
I want to ask a few more questions. So how many years experience, what is your degree? PhD?
PhD.
How many years in academia as a researcher, right? Or
yeah.
How many years?
Something like 7-8 years.
7-8 years. And then now you want to move to the industry. So the first move is, first transition is always the hardest. So networking, and then you need to convince the hiring manager why you want to make this change.
Yes.
And then make sure, again, I back to my comments, make sure your hard skill, soft skill match exactly at least 90% with that particular role. For example, if you want to go to Google for their research team, okay, you have a PhD and then you have experience, but why you want to change from the academia to industry, and then you need to convince the hiring manager. The first move is always the hardest, but it's not, for your move, I wouldn't see, I still see a lot of opportunities in this area.
Mm. Yeah, actually, the job I want to get is SD. So do you think for us, is it easier or harder than the new graduate?
I think it's easier than new grad.
Yeah, I think it's easier as well. Like if I'm looking for somebody like, I would not exclude, this kind of like group who from an academic, has an academic background. As long as the work, like research work, you've been doing, in the academic, environment has the real hard skills that, like Ian said, to do with what the hiring managers looking for. Because like there's a lot of high-tech companies, they are focusing on R&D. So although you don't have industry experience, but you actually have you have some advantage too. You also have like, because you touch the very in advanced like research area, and that probably can bring contribution to the organization. So it's a little bit different from an academic perspective, or or something that very front tier experience. So I would think it's not that difficult, as long as you want to make sure that you do tailor your resume according to what that position is, it's specifically.
Yes, that's my next question. Aside from the hard skills, soft skills. What else can I bring to the resume that can impress the recruiter or the people who viewing the resume, especially from academia? What does industry people look for?
Citation, your research conferences. Again, for me, it's all about match. If your experience matches 75% of what we are looking for, or 95% of matching. If it is 95% of matching, then no matter what, I'm going to reach out.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, okay, time went fast. Now we have actually now 5 minutes over, but we still have a last question to end the discussion. There are one question on the chat room. How to answer, why did you leave your last job? From HR perspective. If you during the interview, how to answer, why did you leave your last job? Which answer is better?
What do you suggest?
Me? Are you asking me?
Mason, what do you suggest?
Okay. All right. Well, this is a question that everyone asks, I think. Well, whatever you do, don't say anything bad about your previous employer.
Right.
Number one. And don't say anything negative about the company. Keep it positive. Focus on what you can achieve, or basically something like, maybe there's more room for growth. Maybe it's a better match based on your experience. But focus on positive things that the new opportunity can give that the other company can't give. And again, like I said, never anything negative, because as soon as they sense negativity, they're going to be concerned that, oh, you're going to say the same thing when you leave our company. So keep it positive. Focus on what you can gain, what you can achieve, the positive things about the company that you're going to, and that's generally the best way to go about saying why you want to go to another company. What about you? I'll turn it back to Yan.
Yeah, I don't like to hear that, I leave because my manager doesn't like me. I don't get a lot. I like the positive energy. Your company is doing this because my experience in this company, I really think this is the area that I could make the contribution. So I like this kind of a conversation. What you can bring to the table, and also this is for my career advancement, for whatever reason, but not because you don't like your current employer.
I personally don't like to, hear that as well. But like, if there's something that about your own company is already well-known truth, fact, like say the company, when bankruptcy and they lay off people, all the industry, they'll know. Like say, I know some company they're doing. It's okay to say, I'm laid off because this and that, because this has nothing to do with you. That's okay. But like not too much on the personal side. I can't get along with my manager, or too demanding or things like that. Don't focus on that, but focus on the well-known truths, if that's the main reason, right? So yeah. But if you hide your layoff, you trying to hide that, it's not a really good way as well. I prefer that if that person tell me, what, I get this, I don't care about that, the fact, because people, get laid off or they get fired with different reasons, not necessarily because that person is not good. It could be a lot of other reasons. As somebody who worked in HR for a long time, we all know that. So just firstly, try not to focus on the personal conflicts or things like that, with your with your former company or managers. But at the same time, trying to be a little bit open. It's good. People can understand, I think. Yeah. as long as your hard skills, always match, what they're looking for. That's the most important thing. Yeah, because they care about, what you can bring to the company, not about your personal life or things like that. Yeah.
Thank you, Mason, Yan, and Jay, and Jane.